Hey, Carm here with another long-form interview that will sure to satisfy even the critical and conventional palate. I'm with Rob Morrell and Mark Warren from WorldPac, and we're talking specialization. Now, if you want to understand more about the patterns, tools, marketing, and tech efficiency about specialization, you are home to the right episode. Now, here's a taste.
But when you're in a big town, then you have some options to figure out what kind of shop you want to run and what kind of customers you want.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hey, Carm Capriato here. Let's talk Apex and how to register. Apex has the best training, new product demos, and networking in the automotive aftermarket industry. Now, I'll be there, and you should too. November, Las Vegas. Register today at www.aapexshow.com. Hey, welcome to Remarkable Results Radio, where we tell the stories of the business side of the aftermarket. And don't forget about my own listening app. It can be found on the apps page on my website, remarkableresultsradio.com. Now here's another interview done at Vision KC 2019. And I'm with Rob Morrell, Senior Director of Management and Technical Training at WorldPac Technical Institute, and Mark Warren, Training Manager at WTI. Now, so glad to share Rob and Mark's interview with you, as we're going to have a very open discussion on specialization. And as you would expect, the T word comes up, training. Now, this episode tackles the challenge of what makes a specialty shop. Mark and Rob share their personal perspectives on one approach to specialization. You'll also hear of their support for free education for post-secondary automotive students. And if you know Mark Warren, his stories, an amusing way, you won't be disappointed. Hey, catch the talking points and bios at remarkableresultsradio.com/E422. Hey, remember, specialization can give you the opportunity to go further and deeper into one vehicle platform or brand than being a generalist. Enjoy. Hey, a warm welcome to Rob Morrell, Senior Director of the WorldPac Technical Institute. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Carm.
And Mark Warren. I don't even know your title.
Manager, WTI.
Oh, cool, manager. Did you have to work long to get that?
I did, yeah. I assigned myself manager at my shop, so that was easy.
Oh, okay, cool.
But at WorldPac, yeah, I did have to work there quite a while. I was a contractor for years.
So I want to tell everyone that I've known Mark for a bunch of years, and every time I would see him at a conference or, I'd had my studio somewhere, I said, come on, let's do an interview. Yeah. I have to check with Rob, or I'm too busy. I'm going out and checking on my guys because they're giving training and everything. So I kept handling the blow off and the brush off, and I was okay because I'm very patient, so everyone knows, to get interviews. I really am.
There's a reason for that. It's because I'm terrified of public speaking.
All right, we've already told our first joke. This is great. All right,
that's a little hard to believe,
isn't it? So I was chatting with Mark yesterday, and I said, okay, so you finally figured out a time, and you both said you'd come in here. So what are we going to talk about? And he says, specialization, Carm, is just like so hot right now. And I said, perfect. We got to do this. So start us out, man.
Well, so our experience at WorldPac is that WorldPac started with European specialists, and we have really super shops there. My experience with some of my friends, had some specialist Asian shops and everything. And I watched these, and, I ran a shop that we've worked on everything. I mean, when I first opened up, I worked on motorcycles and washing machines, which was stupid. Working on everything. It was possible in the 70s and kind of in the 80s as we've moved into reprogramming and, initialization and everything else. It's so complicated. And you've got two factors there. You've got the learning curve, which is huge. And then you've got the cost of equipment. And so when you're looking at wanting to use OEM scan tools and having all the capabilities, what I see from people is they're expressing that, it's just impossible. And bigger than the expense, which is huge, is the learning curve. So what I see in the specialist shops that we've worked with, and particularly at WorldPac, is, they live in a nice world. They know the pattern failures. They have the special service tools for the brands that they work on. And all of that. So what I've seen over the years is that people that have a general repair shop tell me, well, I can't just become a BMW specialist. Most of the specialists came from a dealership and went into that specialty. And certainly we work with a lot of people that specialize in a few.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that the argument is, since I really don't know the platform, I can't fix the platform? You can hire specialists.
Well, within your own shop. Yeah. And so that's kind of the point that I want to make. So I had a general repair shop.
Right.
We worked on everything, and that's not efficient. You're constantly learning and trying to figure things out. It's kind of fun. But when it comes to the end of the day, customer service, the best customer service, you really need, most people think you really need to know a brand or something like that. So what I did, which is actually what a lot of management people are teaching today, which is brilliant. So I actually did something brilliant once in my career, other than just making all the mistakes and learning from those. I looked at what customer I wanted. Not what vehicle I wanted necessarily. I looked at what customer I wanted, and the customer that I related to was soccer moms. I was sick and tired of engineers and their egos and, oh, guys, I could fix it myself, but I don't have the time, which is just a bluff, and everything else. Working for women, they're not going to threaten to fix their own car. They're going to be honest with you, loyal to a fault. And I related to soccer moms because my wife was a soccer mom. I just related well to them. I related well to people with kids. And so I said, I want to go after soccer moms. Well, this was the 1980s, and the Dodge Caravan was out, Plymouth Voyager. And so talked to my guys in the shop, and I said, what do you think about working on minivans? And they said, hey, we really like minivans. Not a fan of the Aerostar and busted head bolts and all that. But, in general, we like the minivan platform. And I'm like, I like the customers. Chrysler was selling, $500,000 a year, 500,000. So I bought all the manuals for all the minivans. We studied up on them. I got everything I needed. And then I went out and started advertising in the community that we were minivan specialists. And that just automatically brought in soccer moms. I mean, that was my demographic that I was looking for. So the point I'm trying to make is, you have a general repair shop. You don't have to abandon that. You can move towards a specialty. And I actually got my shop to about 70% minivans, and the world was great for us. I didn't abandon any of my other customers, and I had a few BMW and Mercedes customers, and so what I see is guys are like, well, I have this general repair shop, I can't be a specialist. And the idea is you can move a specialty within your general repair shop, and you can be highly successful, and you could be a lot happier.
In concept, though, what you did is you picked your ideal customer. You may call it a specialization. So when she walks in the door, people say, she's our ideal customer. Even though we know we're specializing. It's the minivan, it's the soccer mom, and it's like, oh my God, lightning bolt, marriage made in heaven. This person, we'll do everything in our power because we know that we're the place for them. They don't yet know that, they're going to be a loyal, long-time customer, but because you do everything in your power to make them fit into your specialization customer mold. And, when you brought up specialization before, I started to think of platform. I started to think of the Euro shop and the Asian shop. You brought a completely different twist to this. And I like that. I mean, I really think it pushes the thinking almost back to grassroots ground level.
Well, and there's a misunderstanding with the specialist shop that we're talking about too, because they think what we're saying is that the specialist is smarter or that sort of thing, and that's not necessarily true. The general repair shop technician is generally better at diagnostics because they're used to working with different makes, different systems, and adapting. Although the specialist repair shop, when they do run into a problem car, will probably fix it faster. They already know the wire colors. They don't need to use the wiring diagram. They already know the system. They're not used to diagnosing so many different kinds of cars, but they're faster at that car. And so, and technicians move in and out of dealerships and independent shops and that sort of thing. So we're talking about all the same people. I think people get a little too defensive sometimes, wrapped up into the good or the bad of a specialist shop, and it's just a little more efficient because you're working on the same platforms all the time.
So let's stretch this out a bit. I've got an 8-bay place, a general repair shop, Rob.
Yeah.
And I could have a specialty tech.
Correct.
Right? I mean, I don't have to go, let's go build our Euro shop. I mean, if I'm all things to all people and I market right, I market my specialty, then I can really fix everything.
That's correct. And I have a friend that has a shop in Las Vegas that's a European specialty shop, but he has 2 bays that are Volkswagen and Audi, 2 bays that are Mercedes, 2 bays that are BMW.
Okay.
The guys in those bays work on just that make.
But that's a Euro shop, however you explain it
Correct.
to me.
But you can
but
do it
he's
in
got the specialists inside of that.
Correct.
Got it.
And you could do the same thing in a general repair shop and you know, dividing it up between trucks and that sort of thing, or Chryslers, GMs, Asian cars, whatever, you know, but you get a little more specialized, you get a little more efficiency out of the same people.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. When you guys are out in front of your training classes, you talk about this or just stay focused on the technical side?
No, we stay focused on the technical side. In the management classes, we talk about it because it depends on the area too. If you're in a small town, I mean, you pretty much do have to work on it.
You got to be a generalist.
Correct.
Yeah, when you're in a small town.
But when you're in a big town, then you have some options to figure out what kind of shop you want to run and what kind of customers you want.
So, Mark, how do you find and market to these customers that you've outlined from your specialty?
Well, so in my experience, I was doing this in the 1980s. Prior to the 1994 Department of Motor Vehicle Privacy Act, the records for all the motor vehicles around the country, those were available, and a company named Polk bought those.
R.L. Polk.
R.L. Polk. Mm-hmm. And so what I wanted to do, I could go to R.L. Polk and say, I want all of the Dodge minivans owners in this zip code. Get their name, address, and zip. And so what I did is I picked the zip codes that I wanted, and it was 50 cents a name. It was an amazing thing. Now that's completely changed, and the world's completely changed, right? The Motor Vehicle Privacy Act, because of people doing things they shouldn't have been doing, that was passed, and you can no longer buy those from R.L. Polk. There are a couple of things. Number one, you've got your internet and your Facebook and all of your options there today. And so if you're looking for soccer moms, I would be going and looking at soccer sites and where people are discussing soccer things like that. Another thing that I did was I went to soccer tournaments. I sponsored a soccer team. I got known in the soccer community. Why? Because I was looking for soccer moms. So, we know people, they market at their church. Some people only go to church to market to their church. Some people go for more legitimate reasons. So there's that. And then, I learned something interesting from a customer of mine. He picked out Circle K locations for Circle K National. How he did his demographics is he drove to the area and he drove around the neighborhood. He goes, I don't buy demographics. I don't get the 10-year-old stuff. I go there and I look, I see what kind of cars there are, how many people are there and everything else. So I have seen people that you could go around a parking lot and all the Dodge minivans, you could put a flyer on them.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen people hire people to go through neighborhoods and hang stuff on doorknobs that, we're your Dodge minivan specialists or something like that. So outside of the internet, particularly, the internet, you're casting a pretty wide net. I live in a small community, and it's pretty easy to have somebody do door hangers or something. If I certainly want to market to people that are right next to me, that's convenient for them and convenient for me. So, you've got a lot of opportunities, but first, you need to identify, is it a brand of car you want to work on? Is it a type of customer you want to work on? And your world will be a whole lot happier.
Yeah. With more than 2,500 exhibiting companies from around the world, Apex is my favorite place to see, touch, and compare new products. It's also the place to meet your existing suppliers and develop new partnerships. Even though it's big, the Apex trade show is well organized and easy to navigate. Just plan to have an agenda and wear comfy shoes, as there are so many cool products, technologies, and product demos, and people to see in a very short period of time. And while you're there, you'll also want to participate in the excellent training offered at Apex. It's a busy 3 days, but well worth your time and investment. Mark your calendar now to attend Apex 2019. It's November 5th through 7th at the Sands Expo in Las Vegas. To learn more, visit aapexshow.com. Hey, Rob, at the big expo that you hold every couple of years, do you do any kind of management training on marketing and social media and how to gain new customers?
We do a ton of management training. Yes.
Cool.
all the different aspects of marketing, how to treat the customers, finance, pretty much every aspect of running the business.
Do you let Mark do any training there?
And I have taught classes there, but it is challenging to run that event and teach a class.
So I was just curious if he's on the docket, how many people show up to his class?
He's actually pretty popular.
Yeah, I'm not. Our expo is an exclusive benefit for our customers.
Sure.
And so it's largely shop owners. So the management classes at our expo, typically 120, 180 people, sometimes 200 people in those classes. So the next expo is in 2020. We're going to have 300 classes. We're going to have 3,000 people there. Rob, you want to talk about the students that we've invited?
Yeah. One of the things that we started in Texas, 2016, I went around and kind of a depressing aspect of it, but I talked to our sales guys, who are the best customers in the area, the best run shops. They gave me 25 shops. I contacted those 25 shops and I asked them, do you work with a local high school program? Do you work with a local community college? Only 3 of the 25 did. And
we should stop right now, get on a soapbox and say that that's wrong. But another date, another
correct.
time.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
That was a little depressing. So turned out there was one community college and one high school program that worked with 5 high schools. And so I contacted the 2 guys that run those 2 organizations, and I told them, look, here's our training program. Here's what we do. We don't do any intro training or anything, which is fine because that's what they do in their program. I said, but we have kind of high level training, but I'd like to invite your students for free to come to the event and the instructor to come to the event. We had about 20, between the high school and community college, we had about 25. The kids, I swear that the high school kids wore suits. They were so excited coming in here. And so I met with them when they first came in, and then we had an exit interview with them and talked with them too. And they surprised us. They took a wide variety of classes. We had one that took all management training, high school kid took all management training. And then
don't you just love the fact that they already have plans to do with their life?
I do. And some, about a third of them took the high performance training and that sort of thing, which was nice actually to see them again reaching outside the box a little bit. And then a lot of them took all BMW, all Porsche, all Toyota, that kind of thing. And it was really spread out, much more diverse than I thought it would be. And so the next time in 2018, we had a couple of 100 students there. Again, from the same, because we did it in Texas again, it was the same local high school and college kid.
Are you doing it for free for
free.
Wow.
So they get the same experience that everybody else does. They get the free meals, they get access to the expo, they have breakfast, lunch,
3
and
days.
dinner. Yes, 3 days.
Wow.
So they start at the same time we do, but they're all local, so they don't need to stay at the hotel. But other than that, they get everything is covered.
I can't imagine what they say to you, or it's like an outer world experience for them.
It really is. And then on top of that, when the whole thing was done at the end of the third day, we had them meet with all of our executives. So they met with Bob Cushing and Steve Sharp and David Hine and all of these guys that all came from the same place that they're starting in the industry and have gotten to a fairly high level.
Yeah.
And told them, look, anything's possible here. You can own a shop. You can own a dealership. You can work in a dealership. You don't have to be a mechanic. You can be a mechanic. You can be a service writer. There's a huge variety of careers here. And, it was a fantastic event.
It's amazing. You and I were talking off record about, where you came from and where you are now. And I think we got to get them stories told. And I think there's not enough people in our industry that they may think that I'm going to be a tech my whole life, or I'm going to work behind a parts counter my whole life. And, they actually have to pull a few of their own personal levers, in order to, do some extra things, put their hand up and say, hey boss, I don't want to be in this job forever, and really speak to someone who may want to take them under their wing and mentor them and help them get through the industry, because so many people like you, like many other that I know that are at high levels in the industry, will love to get up in front of a group, raise their hand and says, hey, I was one of you guys once.
Yeah.
And I had great opportunities. I was lucky in a couple of places, but I opened my mouth and I said, hey, I want to do something new, better, different. And, I got to get you back on one day. I want to hear your full story because it is great.
Well, for 2020, we're working with ASE, and this one's in Washington, D.C., and in the ASE organization, that's their home base.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get 500. So for free in there. So, and
you won't have a problem with that.
No,
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Wow. Maryland, Virginia, Washington. Oh, what an opportunity. I mean, you could almost do a lottery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about where are we going to find our new, our future? What a great way to kind of tee that up.
Yeah. So all the instructors and students again for free.
Wow.
It's really illuminating for the students to see that. When I was in high school, Champion Sparkplug had a van that went around and did professional presentations, and it was amazing. Those guys ran 2 spark plug wires in parallel with each other, not connected, and the spark, induced over into the other. And I was just, my mind was blown. And the same thing here for these students are, they're in high school, they're in community college, and their exposure to professional training is probably almost zero. And to bring them in just to see these guys and gals light up and everything else. And in the end, on the exit interview with our senior management, Rob had an opportunity to speak. I had an opportunity to speak. And the one thing I tell these kids is I ask them, you see the movie The Martian? They go, yeah. I said, well, Elon Musk is working on sending people to Mars. The first person going to Mars is a technician. Did you see The Martian guy, how he knew all the systems and the pressure? And people get really interested in machines when it's keeping you alive on a planet.
Right.
And so what I told him, I said, the plans are with Elon Musk is the first guy is a technician. The second guy is a technician. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh guy going are technicians. And then they said if they have room and the opportunity, they're going to send a doctor to service those technicians.
And then the potato farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a lot bigger than automotive. When you learn automotive and you learn hydraulics and electronic controls and everything else, that's the entire future of manufacturing, outer space, and everything else. So I like for kids to think. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of kids to other high-tech industries, but, at least they're getting trained up, but they're really getting pulled out of the VOTEC programs by other high-tech industries.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of our key advantages because a lot of people have said, well, we have to have intro classes for them. We have to basically to dumb it down for these students, and that's not true. We're showing them where they're going. And they're taking the same high-level classes that everybody else is, and they're fine. It pushes them, but it's not necessarily, it's not completely over there.
What are you saying? They're more resilient. They've got a lot of capacity to take it in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's nice to look into your future. I mean, they're embedded in the high school and the community. They know that stuff. We don't need to rehash that, Let's
stop teaching 101s.
Correct.
And start teaching 103s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the last time that we did that in 2018, the kids took their ASE tests about 2 weeks after the event. So we did not teach them anything that would help them pass those tests. Their passing scores were 52% higher after they went to the expo. And it basically because we just turned them on.
You energized them.
Correct.
You gave them a purpose. Isn't it amazing how when you've got that northbound direction, that northbound training, you can do things you said, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, confidence. You gave him a level of confidence.
Gave him a direction.
Wow. How cool is that? Mark, you trained for a lot of years with WorldPac before you became more of the manager of the team, right?
Sure. Yeah. I was a contractor for about 7 years. Yeah.
Love to train, love to get in front of the guys, ladies.
I hate rental cars. I hate airplanes, and I hate hotels.
What the hell did I ask that for?
So why do you do it? Well, when you get in front of 40, 50 people that are into the same subject and charged up and excited about it, and it'll spend 8 hours with you, sometimes sitting on a steel chair or something. We did a hands-on class. Our guys teach the BMW interface, and we have 4 instructors, and we have to do it in a shop. So we had chairs delivered, which are usually usually those not so great plastic chairs. No, they delivered the wood wedding chairs.
Oh dear. Oh,
you're going to sit on that for 8 hours? You got to be dedicated.
No, those are bingo hall chairs.
Yeah.
Well, I call them 20-minute chairs.
They're designed to get people out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the charge that you get. It's like any entertainer or anything. It's the charge you get out of the crowd, and it's just exciting. I mean, we live in a kind of a narrow field, especially the crazy stuff that some of these John Thorntons and Scott Manas and perhaps myself and Bernie Thompson, that's a pretty narrow thing. So to find those people in the world is pretty cool.
Got it. What else is on your list, man?
Well, I'm going to go back to my technique and my soccer moms.
Okay.
So once you pick your clientele and once you pick that specialty, well, then you need to deliver what they need. My soccer moms, they always showed up with a couple of kids. It's the end of the day when they're picking up their car. We're trying to do the invoice and the kids are hanging on her. They're sugar tired. They're tired. They're crying. And do you think those kids want to be in the shop? And you think that mom's having a good time in the shop with me trying to go over invoice with her and her kids are hanging on her? I want to go home. I want my macaroni and cheese or, whatever it is. So when you're dealing with that kind of clientele, you need to be able to deal with kids. So one of the things I would do is, you say you have a 3-year-old and they're crying. I'd go, hey, you can't cry here. And the mom would be like, you can't discipline other people's kids, right? And now I'm going to talk about some stuff I stole here, okay? All right. And this 3-year-old kid, stopped crying and be all confused. And I go, look, this is the happiest place on earth. You can't cry here. Well, now they're still confused. But let me ask you a question, Carm. Ask a kid where they want to eat. Where do they want to go?
McDonald's.
They want to go to McDonald's because they get a Happy Meal and they get a toy, right? Well, that's what I figured out. So I had kids and they'd grown up and we had all of these toys because my wife can't stop buying toys. Now I have grandkids in a 7-room house and we need another house for the toys. But anyways, I took the kids' toys, cleaned them all up, shined them all up. I had an extra room in the shop that used to be a restroom. It was a small room, but we didn't need 2 restrooms in the waiting area. All right. So I cleaned that all up. And you know how when you go to Disneyland and you see a treasure chest and the stuff's just hanging out? Mm-hmm. I put these toys in there. I actually put a treasure chest in there with them all hanging out and toys all over the place. Cool, yeah. And then I put in track lighting. And so I would go to this kid. This door's closed. Nobody knows. And I would go to this kid. I go, look, you have one job. I'm here to talk to your mom, and I need to talk to your mom. You just have one job to do. And I would open that door and turn on that track lighting, and I'd go, you need to pick out which toy you're taking home. Wow, man. I mean, you know how parents are. They like their kids for whatever reason. And you treat them, and the kid's just ecstatic, and now there's no more crying, and the mom's all happy. So the kind of downside of this is 3 weeks later, I get a call from some people and they'd go, you jerk. And I'd go, what? They're going, I just spent $875 at your shop. And all I hear from my kids is, when are we going back to Mark's Auto? So,
because I want a toy.
Think about your client. You can own the heart of a child for a tenth of a penny. If you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese and you've seen the little plastic ring with a spider on it, my daughter was a marketing manager at Chuck E. Cheese. That costs a tenth of a penny. For a 30-cent little Frisbee, you can own the heart of a 4-year-old. And then you own the heart of your customer. So, think about who you want. I mean, I know guys that did, my high-end customer said, you should just work on high-end cars. You gotta have gold faucets and, and that's cool. I mean, that's awesome for people that want to service that clientele. I just, I had good customers with high-end cars, but I didn't want to market to that clientele because my shop wasn't like that. It was a next door neighbor shop.
Okay. Now here's what I think I know about you, and I don't know a lot, but I think you've probably been in front of shop owners and technicians over your career. And how many times did you tell that story?
Not very often.
Oh, really?
No, because I'm teaching technical classes.
So what?
This is the part of where I need to teach
Mark
the
Warren.
management
Mark
class.
Warren walks up and he just goes, and boom, boom, boom. And I'm so. Am I right, Rob?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
was
stop
just.
him.
Yeah, I know. And I was just curious that if you've told this story, how many come up to you and says, "Mark, I stole that idea. It was great."
I've had a few guys that I talk to in trade shows, but Rob, what's the number one complaint about my class? Too many stories. I mean, that's
correct.
That's why I didn't throw that one out.
Oh, I'd love to sit in on a performance review.
I have to call Mark on Monday morning. Well, we got this complaint.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking, I teach pure techno. I should teach one management class. I mean, I have some ideas on exit strategies. I went to Cecil Bullard's class, and he had 20 things. Don't do this. Don't do this. Mm-hmm. One of them was don't name the shop after yourself. Mark's Auto. I'm like, check.
Final words from Rob.
The specialist shop is a valuable option for a lot of people. If you're in a market that's large enough for it, I think it's an interesting thing to look at it. Generally, the technicians are a little bit happier. They're familiar with the products. They know what they're getting into, and you could argue that it's a little less interesting because they're not being challenged quite as much. But I think if you have the right demographic and you have the right market, it's a great option.
I remember interviewing a tech. My first tech interview was last fall at ASTE. I was thrilled to have this dealership technician coming in, and I said, "So why don't you guys want to come over to the independent side? It's too hard. You guys work on too many things. I just want to do this one thing." So to your point.
Yeah.
To your point. Last words, my friend Mark?
I just want to end on an upbeat note. For years and years and years, 10 years ago, there was nobody in my classes under 45, and it was depressing. Went to the Colorado ASA event, and Jeremy O'Neill asked how many in here are under 30. It was about 30%. I'm seeing a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings. We are hiring specifically ourselves some younger guys to get some young blood in here. I just retired from Motor Magazine. I think I'm getting a little too old and not as much engaged in the industry. It's time to turn it over to somebody younger. And Gary Smith's taken that over. He's not a young kid or anything, but I'm not doing as many classes. I'm seeing some of the talent that we're hiring. These younger guys and everything are eclipsing me, and I'm just real encouraged about seeing really activated, interested young people coming into this industry.
It's your job to do this, to bring in the youth. I mean, who are our successors going to be? It's great to hear the fact that you're bringing in some young talent.
Well, and the problem was we couldn't get them before 2008. They were going into cell phone stores and other easier businesses to get into without all the upfront cost and the difficult learning curve and that sort of thing. A lot of people got laid off in 2008, found their way into different industries and that sort of thing. And then in about 2011, 2012, we started seeing a lot more younger people coming in, which was really encouraging. I think it's terrific. And I think we're in a good place right now.
Thank you so much. Rob Morrell, Senior Director, WTI, and Mark Warren, Manager, Training,
WTI. And we should mention CarQuest. We're sister companies.
That's
and
right. Yeah.
We are blending the training together and working much more together and everything. So look for exciting things in the future from CTI, WTI.
Cool. Great. Glad to hear it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.